Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. No Rhett this morning because it is Tuesday, December 30th. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve here in the United States, and I think for most of the world, I know there's a few other New Year's, a few other calendars that people operate on. And I do know that most of the people that watch my video aren't from the US, so yeah, maybe it isn't. But it is tomorrow will be New Year's Eve for us here in the States. Um, trying to figure out why okay, so we thought we knew why. I wrote up a issue and I said, hey, we needed to bounce the um, update the after resize the aspect ratio. And I was wrong. I was completely and utterly wrong. I don't even think we have it debounced or throttled or anything like that. We, so basically, I had completely put myself on a bad path. But in that meantime, what I noticed was that I do have a little bit of some code that's a bit confusing or very, very confusing. And that is, so we have the viewer width and the viewer height, which is actually this whole the height and the width. So like what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this up so that I say width and height. It shouldn't take too long. I'm going to hit F12 so I can get into the console. And then, so we got a width and a height of 799, 1024. And then let's come over here and add one. And then change views, clear this, and then update. So up here we have a width and a height of 799 and 1024. But here we have a height of half of that, 527. So that is confusing, and I don't know exactly why it's changing. I think we were kind of hunting on that last time. And will that help us with the issue we're dealing with right now, which is the AR being laggy? No, it won't. But boy, is this going to be an issue in the future. So let's go ahead and get it squared away now. So I'm going to go to the template. And see, here's our viewer width and viewer height. And so we are definitely out of sync. And here we actually pass the width and the height to this thing here, to the component. And that might be why it's more up to date than um, what the actual AR. You know, whatever is calculating the actual AR. Basically, what I'll say is like if I do this, see how this is 133, but it's like it's actually 137. I'm pretty sure this is what it should be. Um, Only because it's wrong in the end-to-end tests. Go back here. So we are currently bug hunting, basically trying to figure out, okay, where does this? But in the mean part, we know that this is actually not the viewer height. This is probably the height of this thing here. So we got to figure out. We got to get that right. But we do know that we don't even want the viewer height. What we want is the um, visualization height, or viewer is a bad name. Okay, so that is right. That is viewer height is okay. So yeah, that is basic. That is a basic problem right now. Is that we should be setting the viewport height. The viewer is actually, I think, the is actually um, correct. I mean, viewer is probably what it should be. Viewport. And it's AEIGHT. 0. And so dot your width viewport width is equal to width, and then viewport height, and that is wrong. So, and that comment is wrong too, because it is actually being used properly in the editor. This is just, it's being set improperly. This is the actual viewer height. Um, Now I want to see, yeah, where else this thing gets set. Huh. So it's weird. I wonder how it's getting to 527. Let me get rid of this. Viewer height. There we go. Here's what we end up setting. Yeah, so we're taking the editor div. So even that's wrong too. That should probably be the editor height and editor width and editor height. Because I'm guessing that this is the editor. Okay, so this is really an attempt to screw myself over. Okay, so the whole thing gets called here. I wonder if finalize in initialization is where that has. But yeah, so we have a weird naming thing again. Let's see. If we save right now, I think we're still good. This definitely needs to be editor width and editor height. We're just like begging for trouble. Boy, that was like, okay, let's actually go all the way to the top here. Wait, let's see. How does this thing? I think it gets used up here. Hmm. Yeah, so it's just like, see, I think this is the editors. So this is probably the editor height and width. Well, no, that's okay, so we do have the viewers. Oh my gosh. I really got myself good. Oh my gosh, this is not the editor view. So see, this is the visualization view. This is the viewer, yeah, not the editor. Why? Why did you name it editor? This is the viewer view. It's so easy to make little mistakes like that, though, when you're building stuff. So that is in fact down there the viewer, not the editor. Probably just didn't like the name viewer view. Just didn't like the way it rolled off my tongue would be my guess. Okay, that definitely makes things a lot clearer. Okay. All right, so now we have the viewport height, the viewport width, the viewer width, and the viewer height. And I think everything is right as is, the way this code is written, except for this. This should not be viewer height. I don't know what happens if I comment that out. Yeah, see, it still gets set. I don't know exactly why. Add, update. Yeah, see, it's still getting the height and the width. We're not setting the viewer height here. We know the viewer width is 100% in this for this layout. Um, the viewer height we do not know at this point. We will, because this is, well, we probably do actually. It gets set in this function. That, where is it getting set? It gets hit in this resized visualization, which I don't, I'm curious where the heck resized visualization gets called from. Update visualization size. Update visualization size gets called from process visualization. Process visualization. Oh. Process visualization gets called here. So the viewport height isn't AR. Calculate aspect ratio to signal this renderer ID. So this is how the aspect ratio, I think, gets set. But I know that we do not have the correct width and height. Hmm. Set calculated aspect ratio. So when we do that, and that's because that is that, but I don't think it's right. Oh, I wonder if it's using that calculated one. I mean, that other one, but it's happening afterwards. Okay, so does this, I don't quite understand why I'm doing these two before. Like it seems like this guy should probably be first, right? Because it's dealing with the route. And again, if it wasn't for end-to-end testing, this move here would scare the living crap out of me. Okay, that didn't seem to have any kind of negative effect. All right, so now get current renderer ID. It seems like that definitely should be number 2. Maybe not. I don't know. So this is, I guess, determines what the current renderer ID is, which seems like I need that before I do this. So I don't know. Don't know what I was thinking. It's kind of hard. Sometimes things are just so obvious after the fact. Okay, nothing seems to be broken. Okay, so now we actually have the current render ID. I wonder what this was even using. And then I think this process, this I think is the thing that goes and sets the viewer width correctly, or viewer height correctly. I wonder if that will fix it. Because now these numbers should be more correct. Okay, based on the last three digits, no, okay, it's not right. It's still not right. So 874 is how that one ends, but all right. But nothing seemed to have broken. Did feel a little janky though. Maybe not. All right, so for some reason this guy goes to get the calculated aspect, publish the server calculated aspect ratio signal. Oh, I think all this does is get it. Go to definition. So this is where it gets set, the calculated ratio. Is that what just got called? That's weird, right? Because, oh no, all this is doing is getting it. Where is it getting set from? Oh, right there. Mm, this set. Oh wait, this set calculated ratio. That's just a local function. Okay, how is it? Okay, so now that's why we have these. So it's these sets that are the really see. So sets happening too early. Try to figure this out. But what does this thing do? Go to that calling. Okay, all this does is set a local variable, this calculated aspect ratio. Okay, so where are you? Go to definition. And then here is where it's happening, and then try this. Console log. I'm a little confused. And back to our F12, come over here, go there, add one of these. So here, this seems to be at the beginning. And then, yeah, so this seems to be the first thing that's called update. This is that classic filling um, of a what was I gonna? Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, race condition. This is definitely the classic race condition. How things fill. All right, so settings, publish. So this is getting called. It would be nice if it was getting called after. So who calls set? Let's see. So he gets called by this publish, update by ID for width and height. Okay, so this is actually passing in the width and the height that it's supposed to be using in the renderer service. Right. Thought I saw. Let's see. Let's make this bigger. Okay, so this one gets called and it gets a aspect ratio passed into it. So update says update ID for width and height. Okay, so this guy, whoever's calling this guy, is passing it in that, and this is in the ST renderer service. So let's go ahead and find this function. Okay. So he's the one who calls it, right? So render, whenever you say render or by ID. Okay, so let's give this guy some decorations. See what's happening in here. I think this for a lot of people like is the hardest part of software development, just like basic debugging. It's especially hard when you get a really bad issue name. So like I had a name and a description for the issue and it was really bad because talked about debouncing and there's no debouncing, so that put me down a very bad path. Okay, so yeah, so that calls and then that gets immediately called afterwards. Um, but it doesn't look like the values. So, well, we set the value, resize, expected props 527. Oh wait, where's our little asterisk? I mean oh yeah, there they are, the number. Okay, render by ID. And see what this does is it actually passes in the element. So that element may not be the right size yet because it takes a second. Okay. And this is something that really changes a lot based on like, oh, if you decide I want to take this section of code and turn it into a component, it changes all the life cycle, all the time, in the time that it takes for different things to happen. Um, that's sort of outside of our control as far as I know. Okay, so let's see, do we have it yet? Undefined. See, our we can't calculate it because it's undefined. I'm assuming, but well, that is not the right thing. calculate ARs. Okay, so I don't have any. Oh, which makes sense because there aren't any. Let's see. And we'll start this. Okay, so now we have our viz. And then what'll happen is if we change views, that old viz is gone and we got a new viz. And then I bet you what happens is we go here and our viz is here, but I bet it was not this height and width. Well, it probably was. Wow, so do we get a new viz? Oh, let's see if the old viz. See, so it's actually interesting. Okay, so the viz visualization is a little bit more narrow than um, the viewport. So that may be the crux of our problem. So let me see something. Let's see. So am I pretty far off? No, I'm barely off at all. Snoopy or Daisy, shush. See, so the viz goes all the way across, but the aspect ratio. So I'm guessing that this was wider. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm guessing that this is not right. So the width is 709. Oh, so it is showing us the right one. Oh, look, interesting. It was changing as we were looking at it. Oh, we're way back now. See, I was able to very, very quickly move it open. That's why I was able to get such a distorted. It's 527. This is the visualization, but I don't think it got calculated for 52709. I think it got calculated. Does this show C601? So this is showing the correct. This is showing the current value. This is showing the value when it calculated. And it was trying to calculate for 601, 154. So the very last thing that it tried to calculate was 790. Okay, so let's go over here. And when we get this calculated, console.log, we're going to say bang, 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 comma, AR4, comma, width and height. Whew. It is weird that those things get called, though. Probably need to dig into that at some point because it doesn't even exist. So those things probably shouldn't be getting called, but maybe they should. I don't know. So AR for 200 and 200, right? If we mouse over that, that is all nice and consistent. And then let's go here, clear it up. We're still 200 by 200 and update. And I think this is always right whenever we um, first come in. So the 757 and AR for 5. So that's all good. So then we'll clear this. Okay, so we got a nice distorted one. And let's go to the end here. So the width of it is 489 and 527. Well, I think this is wider. I think that's wrong though. That's actually not right. The width of that is not. It is not shorter than it is wide. Yeah, 527. Yeah, see, right now the width of it is, according to this, 677 by 527, which I think is right because I think it is wider than it is tall. But for some reason, this over here thinks that, and maybe that's what it was at the time, but it's clearly not 487 by, I don't think, anyways. So we can click this button up here and then click, I don't know what's, app layout menu, app menu, app menu. Okay, yeah, update. Okay, so, oh, okay, yeah, this one's the one that's being displayed. That's that. Okay, so our visualization, if we go to computed, would tell us that it is currently 627 by 527, which agrees with that, but in our console log, it says that it is 485. So this did not get updated. So it never did call with this information. So I don't know. Okay, so let's go back to see our time. We're still okay on time. So it's render by ID where, and that's in renderer service. I don't know where that gets called from. Where are we now? We are in the ST calculated ratio. Okay, so when we look ST get render, so this is what gets the renderer ID. This is what assigns the for current. And see, this happens every time that we any effect happens. Setting view. Just wondering where that. I guess it's when the. Okay, let's look at the timing here. Okay, so okay, let's clear. Let's just change this a little bit. Okay. Now, the very first thing that happened was this viewport resize service. Okay, I think that makes sense. Then the second thing that happened was this update component right here. Okay, so right at the front here, I'm just going to say, oh, console.log begin effect. kind of weird because whenever I learn, and this might be just like kind of a standard thing, but like I've been coding for a long time, so whenever I first have to learn something new, I seem to be a little bit slower than other people at getting it. But then once I get it, I'm way faster than everybody else. It's like almost like I have to figure out where it fits into my overall knowledge base. And then once I get that, it's just like then everything fits together and I can move a lot faster than most people that don't have as much experience. It's just one of those funny observations that I noticed. Okay, so that's where the effect begins. I don't even see begin effect. Oh yeah, there it is. Begin effect. So all this stuff happens before the effect even fires. And I don't think that, yeah, so I don't think, yeah, the actual visualization is existing when you resize. It's like I guess it's assuming it's going to get created or something. But when you resize, I don't think it does get recreated. Maybe that's what's happening. Like something in the constructor is what handles all of this. I don't know. We'll see. Now, clear, update. So the effect begins, and then after it begins, all this stuff starts to happen. And somehow we end up with the correct 674 by 527. Everything is all right. So clear. Now if I go, so we get all these begin effects. Begin effect here. Let's see, the AR has already been set. See, the AR is set there. And that's why it ends up not being correct. It is interesting to me that it's showing, oh, I say, oh, and this is actually not even correct either. So you notice that like the width of it's supposed to be 100%, but the width is not. The width is not being taken into account and its new width. Actually, this width is probably, I don't know. But basically, I think we need to, after the effect is completely done, that's when you have to do the final calculation of the AR. But I don't know exactly how it's getting calculated now. I guess that's the basic problem, is that I think there's a good chance that like, so if I was under the gun right now, I would likely at the very end of the effect just run whatever code it is that resizes in the renderer service, um, and tell it to basically go through these steps after this at the end of each effect, which is a bit crazy because that effect's getting called over and over again. So probably don't, but who knows? But anyway, so it's getting calculated for 507 and 1000 and 527, but it should be getting calculated for, yeah, AR for 509. See, we never did. This never got fired again for these numbers down here. Got fired for 509 and 5 and then never got fired for that. So, like, I like that word fired. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, I think I had a bunch of exclamation marks in front of it. I guess calculated is better though. check that. Really should not. I don't think it should be. If it doesn't exist, I don't think any of that code should have ever fired. But we'll have to maybe make a bug for that. Um, okay, so C was calculated for 200 by 200. And then none of this even makes any sense because I don't think this, yeah, app layout component isn't even, probably shouldn't be having effects and stuff right now. So that's an issue. Okay, so let's go to clear this, go here, clear it again, go here. Okay, so we calculated it here, but, and it worked fine for some reason. I guess it's because these things happened. The effect, we had an effect and then it went to here. But so there's an effect, a calculated, and then another effect the first time you come in. I'm guessing that first effect doesn't happen on a move. So we calculated the AR for that, but this is what it should be. So the difference was the 693 versus 697. So I think we moved closer. This is a gnarly little bug. And like I said, I think we could just add like something to run one last time at the end there, but I think I'd rather try to figure out exactly how that um, is being calculated to see if it's going to cause any other issues. I don't think it will though. Now, the more I think about it, the more I think I just need to run this like whatever reset viz or whatever function um, causes things. But who knows? We'll find out. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.